Hello guys. In this video, I would like to discuss, biggest influences on Wittgenstein. Well, why do we even care about, his influences? Well, it's, video for people really interested in Wittgenstein and this incredible, inimitable genius. And, I really, really kind of regret, feel bitter about the fact that we don't have a single recording of his. There is not a single lecture, not a single interview, just nothing from Wittgenstein. He died in 1951, when we had audio video technology, but, he did not leave us, we do not know what his voice, sounded like, how he spoke. It really must have been just incredible to see one of his lectures. It was intense, passionate, just quite an experience. And if you're a great fan of Wittgenstein's, this video is for you. Well, who was he influenced by? Well, of course, the biggest influence, as you probably know, was Bertrand Russell. He was the overall number one biggest influence on Wittgenstein, intellectually and personally. They were friends. Wittgenstein read his books. They argued. He was this, if you can compare Wittgenstein and Russell to Plato and Aristotle. Genius teacher with an equally or even greater genius student. Pretty much, everything. The main questions that Wittgenstein was asking throughout his life. What is reference? What is meaning? What is denotation? What are the fundamental laws of logic? They all go back to Russell. And of course, next to Russell, there is Frege. Both of these men he knew personally. Frege, essentially, before he came to study with Russell, he came to see Frege, and it was a pretty disappointing experience for Wittgenstein. Frege, made Wittgenstein feel really depressed. However, Frege left him a reference letter. He said, "Why don't you go study with Russell in England?" And that's what Wittgenstein did. Frege's paper on meaning and reference was one of Wittgenstein's all-time favorite reads. He read it, many, many times throughout his life, and it was one of his favorite, pieces of philosophical writing. The paper on meaning and reference. The Evening Star, the Morning Star, that business. Next is the gloomy pessimist Arthur Schopenhauer. One of the most incredible writers in philosophy. One of the greatest philosophers ever. Later on in life, Wittgenstein sort of dismissed him. He said, Schopenhauer is a crude thinker. He's shallow. And wherever you have deep thinking, deep philosophy, Schopenhauer never gets there. So, as soon as Schopenhauer is over, you can start serious thinking. But still, Schopenhauer was a great, great influence on Wittgenstein, and I think he secretly loved him. I think he really kind of had warm. Had this kind of place in his heart for Schopenhauer. Same as me, to some extent. I remember when I was 19, I read pretty much all of Schopenhauer, and it just made such an impact on me. I did, to some extent, move on. I, studied advanced mathematics. Now I work as a software developer. But still, kind of, Schopenhauer has this place in my heart. He really was an influence, and always will be. And Wittgenstein's Tractatus is to a great extent a very Schopenhauer influenced book. Kind of the world as a whole, the world as idea. I mean, it really has a similar feel to it. Like Tractatus really kind of evokes some of the feelings that you get when you read, some of the feelings that you experience when you read Schopenhauer's World as Will and Idea. Big influence on Wittgenstein, one of the biggest ones. And this one's really surprising. This is Oswald Spengler, one of the greatest historians ever. One of my, if you ask me, what is my favorite book ever, and I have read close to 800 books. I would probably say Decline of the West by Oswald Spengler is my number one favorite book ever. And Wittgenstein was surprisingly an admirer of Spengler's. He really shared like a lot of those pessimistic ideas about culture of his day. He really did kind of think that things are not as good as they used to be. Our greatest days are behind us as far as culture is concerned. And by the way, there was this bizarre episode in Wittgenstein's life when he just he was ready to give up everything and just move to Russia. He learned the language in just a few weeks, and he moved there. He was ready to get a job and just live there for the rest of his life, but for reasons I don't want to get into, he kind of did not do that, and he came back to England after a couple of weeks. So why did he do it? Well, the reason why is because he was influenced by Spengler. Spengler's, according to his theory of civilization decline and rise, Western civilization is now in its final decline state. It's dying, and the next great civilization, which will be, which has incredible, unimaginable potential, is Russia. And Wittgenstein agreed with that. He learned the language. He was a great fan of Dostoevsky, and he was even willing to give up Cambridge for Russia. And that's because of Spengler. And last major influence on him, actually not the last one, I kind of have this sort of bonus, Sigmund Freud. Wittgenstein was kind of ambiguous. Sometimes he said good things about him, sometimes he said bad things, but he did like the worldview, the language, the kind of mythology of Freud. He really, especially later on in his life, he thought that what Freud is doing is a great example of a language game, and he kind of criticized it, but he liked it at the same time. And he personally never met Freud, but he was very much interested in Freud's work. And finally, this guy, I'm sure a lot of you may not have any idea who he is. This is Piero Safra, or Rafa. Yes, Rafa. He was actually an economist, and he criticized a lot of Wittgenstein's early theories, and he was central to making Wittgenstein think in what eventually became his philosophical investigations. He kind of questioned a lot of Wittgenstein's early concepts, and he made Wittgenstein rethink his early philosophy. And also, I should have included Ramsey in this video, but Ramsey was more of a student than a major influence.